In this example, we are going to learn how to work with quotes in HTML. There are a surprisingly large number of different ways in which we could introduce quotes into an HTML page. These different ways represent trade-offs. Let's go through these ways and understand the underlying issues. HTML has special tags for working with quotes. You could also just simply use double quotes in the text of your HTML and not add it to the markup at all. That would have some downsides, as we shall see in a moment. Let's start with a simple example. Let's say we want to quote Donald Trump's famous line saying, "You're fired." Here on screen are a couple of ways of doing so. The first of these just directly uses the double quotes inside the body of the HTML. The second uses a tag called the Q tag. Both of these are called inline quotes. The Q tag is better than using the double quotes directly, and that's because we can apply a style rule such as CSS. We can't do that if we just use the double quotes. In this example and the next few ones, we are going to come across repeatedly a situation where we could just use a character such as the double quotes here to get the formatting that we'd like. Even in such instances, it's better to use an HTML tag such as the Q tag. And that's because it allows the browser to determine how to display the quotes. You don't have to take ownership for this. The browser might then decide to apply styles using a CSS. This is true not only for quotes but also for numbered lists as well as dates and times. Both of these types of quotes are called inline quotes, and the reason for that is the way the output is displayed to screen. In both cases, the bit inside the quotes flow with the sentence. The quote is not on a different line and it's not indented. Again, these are called inline quotes. There are situations where we like quotes to appear with very specific formatting, such as in a poem. Here is a poem from Robert Frost, or a fragment of. I have modified it so that the word I appears twice. That's my little joke, continuing on with the Donald Trump theme. So here is how this bit of poetry, this fragment of poetry would appear on screen. You can see that with an inline quote, it just appears as one mushed together line on screen. That's not how we typically would like poetry to appear. We'd like each line of the poem to appear on a separate line. In other words, the line breaks are very important in situations like these. And on that basis, both of these types of inline quotes don't do what we want. Neither just the straight up double quotes nor the Q tag indent the lines of poetry the way we'd like. It's just not poem-like. And to get around this, we are going to introduce yet another type of HTML element. It's called block quote. Block quote is like Q or like any of the other HTML tags that we've seen so far. But the good thing about block quote is that it will take whatever is contained within that tag and put it on a new line. You can see on screen now what the bit in block quotes would look like. You have an opening block quote tag, a closing block quote tab, and in between that you have the text as you'd like to appear. There's still a problem with it though, and that is that the formatting inside the block quote bits is not how we'd like it to be. It is on a separate line and it does have a different indent, but it does not have line breaks where we would want them to appear. So how do we fix this? How do we get each line to show up on a different line and respect the spaces and the line breaks that we inserted? None of the tags that we've worked with so far will do this. The paragraph or the header tags that we mentioned do not respect white space at all. And so we are going to use a different and new tag, the break tag. The break tag is a really common and a really powerful tag. It just adds a line break into the HTML wherever we insert it. And that's the simple and easy way we get the formatting that we like. You can see the break tag highlighted on screen at the bottom over there. One thing to note about the break tag So its primary purpose, and in fact its sole purpose, is to add a line break. So it doesn't make sense for this tag to have an opening and closing element. It just needs to exist. There is nothing in between the opening and closing elements. For this reason, it's called a void element. It has no content. The break tag, therefore, can be used without a closing tag. Just using the opening tag alone without the closing tag is legit, it's valid. It is even more legit and even more valid to use the break tag with the trailing slash. That is a way of specifying correct and perfectly well-formed HTML, and you should always choose to do so if you can. It turns out that break is not the first void element that we have come across. The image tag, which we have already come across a bunch of times, is another example of a void element. There is nothing required after the opening tag and before the closing tag. For that reason, we will just close the tag in the opening tag using the slash. And that's what you see on screen highlighted now.